So up to verse number, which one did we do? 58. In 58, we learned the technique of withdrawing our senses, of withdrawing our head and organs of action, and like what? Tortoise. Whenever there is a danger coming towards us, we have to withdraw within us and focus on ourselves. So my question is, do you have to be a jnani? Do you have to be self-realized to withdraw your senses like a tortoise? Do you have to be, because we're talking about sthita prajna, do you have to be sthita prajna to do that thing of withdrawing like a tortoise?
No, you have to withdraw like tortoise to become sthita.
Correct. So you do not need to be a sthita prajna. You do not need to be a big yogi. You do not need to be a big jnani to do that. Who can do that? All of us. All of us. Who's using their buddhi. Anyone who's using their buddhi can do that. Withdraw your sense organs in face of danger. Alright? Even though you withdraw your sense organs, can you tell me, have you overcome the dangers of sense objects?
No.
Not overcome the dangers. You can just put your head inside, or as you say, you can put your head under the carpet, but the danger has not gone away. Verse number 59 is going to tell you why. Why? So let's go to verse number 59. Where am I? Let's read it. Vishaya vinimartante niraharasya dehinaha rasa varjam rasopyasya param drishva nivartate. Anju, read.
Sense objects turn away from him who does not enjoy them with his senses, but the taste for them persists. This relish also disappears in the case of the man of stable mind when he realizes the Supreme.
Sense objects turn away from him who does not enjoy them with his senses. But the taste for them persists. That is the problem. The taste for them persists. You can take away your sense organs from the sense object. That is called suppression. When you take away, I don't want to see anything. I don't want to see the chocolate cake, Don't bring it in front of me. We say that also. Hey, don't take it out. I don't want to see it. I don't want to eat it. But that is not enough, because on your tongue already the taste of chocolate cake has come, right? The drooling has started. But this relish, this taste also disappears, Bhagavan says, in the case of the man of stable minds, the sthita prajna, when he realizes the Supreme. Let's take the meanings of the words. Vishaya, sense objects. Vinivartante, turn away from. Niraharasya, ahar means what?
Food.
Nir means what? No food. Niraharasya, fasting, abstaining. Dehinaha, who is a dehi? We are, person. So the person, an individual. Dehinaha, individual, a person. Rasa varjam, except taste, means taste remains. So if I want to just rephrase that part, the first line, the sense objects turn away from an abstaining person, but the taste still remains. Then second line, rasa, taste, api also nivartate, turns away. Taste also turns away asya, for this person. What kind of person? Drishtva, who has seen, who has realized what? Param, the absolute. So, rephrasing the entire verse, the sense objects turn away from the person who is fasting or abstaining. However, the taste for the object remains. And this taste also turns away for such an individual who has realized the Supreme. So in this verse, Bhagavan is saying that taste never goes away or does not go away even if you have done tyag of the senses. Okay? We have to understand this word rasa, this word taste. What is this rasa that Bhagavan is talking about? See, whenever you experience something which is pleasurable, which is enjoyable, some beautiful object or some wonderful experience you have had, then what happens? What is generated inside you?
Memory of that.
The memory of that, the feeling that of love for that thing, or the beauty of that thing, or the memory of the happiness that you felt when you were experiencing that thing. And this feeling within you, this feeling of happiness, of love, of beauty, it keeps rising within you in the form of thoughts. You keep remembering. Memory means what? It means you are continuously remembering that experience. We call that vritti. That is the meaning of the word vritti. That thought of that experience is continuously rising in you. And this feeling of loving that thing, of loving that experience, of loving that taste, that is called rasa. This continuous rising of that feeling, oh wow, hey, yesterday's soup was really good, huh? We had, that's why I'm saying. So if you keep remembering that, then even if that soup is not in front of you, which is not here now, those people, there is some taste tingling is going on right now because I have evoked that memory. See their faces. Okay. So even if the object is not there, that rasa is getting generated inside. And if I say, okay, Baba, you liked it so much, we can go again, Now the rasa for anticipation of that object, also the rasa will arise within you. Yes or no? Has everyone experienced that?
Yes.
Right, no? All the time? Okay. And even if you don't end up actually going to that object and experiencing it again, even if you don't end up, has the rasa gone away? No. And that is why we can't give up objects. Because the rasa has not been given up. Only the outside object is being given up. The rasa remains inside, that feeling of the connection between the object and the feeling it generated. The connection between the object and the happiness, the taste, the beauty, the whatever emotions, that entire thing is called rasa. So whenever that thought will arise in you, some waves of happiness will come. What was that? Kuch kuch hota hai? That kuch kuch is rasa. And it's not necessarily in food, it could be in anything, it could be in all kinds of experiences, right? So by doing the tyag, by renouncing the object, by saying, I will never have mithai again, I will never have batata vada again, I will never have alcohol again, you are not going to get rid of it. The thought itself is going to make you go there.
To have a rasa for a sattvic object is okay.
Definitely having rasa for sattvic object is much better than having for rajasic. Having rasa for rajasic is better than having rasa for tamasic. That is the process of sublimation. You rise from something which is really bad for you to something which is not so bad, but you are still attached to it and you still want a lot of it. The greed for it is still there. That is why it is rajasic. And from rajasic, you try to move it into sattvic. And after you've gone into sattvic, you're on the escalator. Bhagwan will take care of it.
So it is, you said like by renouncing the object, you may not get rid of it.
Not you may not, you will not.
You will not.
Huh.
So then things which are not good like alcohol or any of these substances, isn't the first step to just give it up?
With understanding.
Yeah, that it's not good.
Give it up, nay. Give it up with understanding. Then it will go. Just giving up because it's not good for me, or my doctor said give it up, or my wife is pestering me to give it up, or my children are saying this is not good for you, dad, or whatever it may be. That will not make it go away. You have to do it with understanding. And Bhagwan is going to give you the method, don't worry.
So what is that? Okay.
I just have this question. This rasa, doesn't it even stay in ascetics and people who have done a lot of penance? Because we
Yes.
heard stories of tapasvis and saints even getting
Absolutely.
that moment of.
One second. Verse number 60. Coming.
But the rasa it's directly linked to your vasana.
Yes, because the vasana made you. See, the vasana is a seed coming from a past life. It will awaken when an outside trigger comes and wakes it up. Okay, it's a trigger. Something needs to trigger that vasana. Then the vasana becomes active, or otherwise it remains dormant. So the vasana is the root cause of everything. That is why it is called Karan Sharir. That is why you have got birth first and foremost, because you've taken birth only to fulfill that vasana. But by fulfilling the vasana, you're not getting rid of it. You're only strengthening it. So we have to work at the stage of vasana through understanding, through some methods. Don't worry, Bhagwan is going to tell it to you in the next verse. And then it may remain dormant. I call it snake without fang. However, if the stimulus is strong and the sadhana is weak, any minute you can fall prey to it. And we'll come to that also. Okay? Anytime. Therefore, sadhana can never be given up, no matter what. You are enlightened, you are a pahuncha hua vyakti, whatever you may think you are still subject to the body, mind, intellect. You have to still function in this world through this equipment, and this equipment is faulty. Unfortunately, this equipment, like if I wear specs which are red and I may be the biggest yogi in the world, but I'm still wearing red specs, I will still see the world as red. I have to remove and put on clear glasses, which Sonia keeps telling me to do.
Clean it for you.
No, Cleaning not enough. Now she said, no, come to the optician. We'll check your eyes again. She said, I wanted to get new specs because obviously a lot of mull is coming out. So what happens? All this effort that you have to do, this tyag and this changing of vision, all that you have to do till what time? Till you have param drishtva, till you have seen the Supreme. So when to see the Supreme means what? Some Krishna has to come here like this in one form. One Shivji has to come.
No.
Somebody has to come here. To see means what?
To understand.
Experience yourself as that Supreme energy. So the Sthita Prajna is the one who has experienced the taste, the rasa of spiritual bliss. The Sthita Prajna, she said, is it okay if I have Satvik rasa? Yes, because from Satvik rasa, the next stage is the rasa of spiritual bliss. So, once you have tasted that supreme rasa of spiritual bliss, all other rasas of sansar will feel phika, will feel insipid, will feel useless to that rasa which you have experienced. And Sandeep remembered this quote very nicely of Sant Tulsidas recently on a WhatsApp message. That quote said that once you have experienced Ram Ras, all the Shadras, 6 tastes which we have, they are all will feel like rubbish. Just like when you are a small child, you treasure your little doll as if it is like the best thing in the world. Children don't want to go to sleep without it. Even if they go for their bath, they will put the doll next to them. It's their most prized possession. But if that person at the age of 50 is also doing that, then there's a problem. So by the time you reach that, you realize that this doll, okay, yeah, it was good at that time for me, but now I don't treasure it. Now I don't cherish it so much. Same as when you have the ras of Parabrahma, when you experience that ras, what is one batata vada? What is a chocolate cake? What is a rasgulla? What? Nothing. That is like just drops out, okay? Means what? Now we come to the point of how to get rid of the rasa. You tell me, what I have said right now, how can I get rid of the rasa of Vishay? Attach to the higher. Attach to the higher. In order to detach from any worldly pleasure, whatever it may be, in whichever field or kshetra of the sansar you're talking about, we need to attach to a higher source of pleasure. The problem is we are trying to detach without attaching. So we are trying to get rid of worldly pleasures. We are trying to get rid of the sweet tooth. We are trying to get rid of the coffee addiction. We are trying to get rid of the sex addiction. We are trying to get rid of the whatever, I don't know what addiction. So many addictions we are trying to get rid of. But because we have not attached to the higher, and this is also being taken away from us, what is happening? Can you please tell me? You're falling completely down. Where? Tamas. You don't have the worldly pleasure because you have forcefully suppressed it. You have forcefully removed it from your life. You have not attached to the higher. So you have neither. You have neither the Ram Ras nor the Vyavarik Ras. You don't have anything. You're not attached anywhere. Direct patan right down into tamas. That is why when people start giving up some addiction or try to start giving up some worldly pleasure which they think they should not be having, they go into depression. What is depression? Depression is tamas. Okay? So once you have that param drishtva, which we also call aparoksh anubhuti, sattvic pleasures also will just by itself dissolve. Just by itself it will go away. If it is there, you will enjoy. If it is not there, then also you are okay. If it is there also you are okay. Before that also you are okay. While having it also you are okay. After having also you are okay. You are okay with everything. So that state is called choicelessness. Choicelessness. Your happiness doesn't depend on that object. In Taittiriya Upanishad, I have one quote. It says, God is all bliss. God is all bliss. When the soul attains God, it becomes satiated in bliss. Satiated means everywhere you are just soaked in bliss. Okay? So when that happens, obviously the lower pleasures, there is no place for them, because satiated means every cell, every space is filled with God bliss. If every cell is filled with God bliss, where is the place for that sensual pleasure to come in? So this detachment comes very naturally, automatic, very without stress, without struggle. It happens through devotion. And when that devotion is there, then your giving up or then your dropping off is firm and unshakable. Otherwise, you are always struggling, because every time that Vishay will come in front of you, you'll have to struggle for that. So Bhagavad Gita is not teaching us suppression. Bhagavad Gita is not teaching us repression, because that is very struggling and it's dry also. So it teaches us the path of sublimation. You sublimate your desires, okay? And substitute for a higher. It has to be directed towards God. Sublimation of desires doesn't mean from one Vishay to another Vishay. Because if you do that from one Vishay, you'll get rid of that Vishay. Then you'll be stuck to the next Vishay. Then you try to give that up by going to attach to another Vishay. Hello, Vishay after Vishay after Vishay. There is no liberation. You're just freeing yourself from one addiction to the other addiction. So what you have to do, sublimation means attach to God, attach to Bhagwan. And Ramakrishna Paramhans says that devotion is love for the highest. The love should be for the highest, and the lowest shall fall away by itself. Devotion is attachment to the highest, and the lowest will fall away by itself. So without sublimation, it is just a suppressing, it's not a permanent solution. For example, let us say there is an alcoholic. Now, in the beginning, he will say, okay, now I'm free, now it's the time to have a drink. So I will go and take the bottle and I will drink. Okay, he's still in control of taking the bottle. When that addiction gets further, what will happen? He will be in the office, it will be nearing 6 o'clock, and the bottle will be calling him. It's time for a drink. It's time. Now, first he was saying, let me go. Now the bottle will start calling him. It's time to have a drink. Okay? So, who has won? He will leave his work. He will leave everything. He will leave his family. He will go to that. So, in this battle, the bottle will win. His buddhi will not win. Because buddhi to already gone into tamas. Right? So, what happens is that if a river is coming down the mountain, it's coming down with force, it's coming down with energy. If you suddenly put one wall there, you suddenly put a dam there, it will control the water for a while. Then what will happen? The pressure of the water will be so strong that it will break the wall, or it will find a way to go around the wall, or it will do something, but it will go. So if you want to successfully dam a river, what do you have to do?
You have to have
You have to also have floodgates which will
A slight outlet. You have to give a little channel for the pressure of the river water to get released into a constructive channel. Maybe going into the field to water the nearby fields, or going into some pipeline which will take the water to the village. Some channel has to be given. That channel is Bhagwan. The river is your vrittis, your desires. Your dam is your sense organs which you're trying to close. At some time, that desire will break through the sense organs. It will want to go to the Vishay. What you have to do is you have to give a little outlet, right, Suneet? For watering your plants, if you're trying to harvest the water, you have to channel the water in a constructive way so that it is used for higher purposes. So that is what you have to do for your desires, okay? So focus on the spiritual goal is very important. Remembering that, what am I here for? What have I taken birth for? I have come here for, there's a higher purpose for this life. My spiritual goal, if you keep that firmly in your intellect gets trained. Your intellect gets stable. Your intellect is able to then guide the mind. The mind is able to control the sense organs. So only a trained intellect can restrain the senses. If the intellect is not trained, you cannot restrain your sense organs. Alright? So what is the method of training the intellect? All what we are doing here for the last 10 years. Okay? All the sadhanas, creating the gap, and whatever, taking baby steps, whatever it is, whatever we have been doing here as practices every fortnight, that is what is helping you to train the intellect. Therefore, you can never give up your sadhana. Because the buddhi, the intellect, has got into a pattern of behavior. For lifetimes, it has got used to doing all tamasic stuff, okay? Judging people, finding fault, criticizing, running after sense objects. That is what it has got used to. If you think that in one day now, hey Buddhi, do your work properly, it's not going to happen. You have to be at it. You have to train it systematically. Alright, let's go to verse number 16.